Arkansas under year 2 head coach John Calipari has looked like a formidable opponent throughout this college basketball season, and as we enter near the halfway point in conference play, it's time to have discussions on how far this team can really go. While Arkansas right now is sitting at 14-5, 4-2 in conference play, and is looking like a pretty good team, can this team muster up a national title run, a Final Four run, or even a national title championship victory for the first time since 1994? In this video, we're going to be breaking down every possible scenario for Arkansas, where they've been good so far, where they need to improve, and how this year's team stacks up with national championship teams in the past, what Arkansas needs to do to meet the standard, and what Arkansas needs to do to expand from last year's Sweet 16 run. This is Random SEC, and today, let's break down the missing piece for the Arkansas Razorbacks. So if you didn't know, Arkansas last year in 2024 through 2025 season, they started out the season pretty poorly, especially in conference play. They started out 0-5 before turning it around and ending up in the Sweet 16, losing in heartbreaking fashion to Texas Tech. And then Texas Tech ends up losing in heartbreaking fashion to Florida, the team who eventually won the national championship. So last year, even with the early struggles for Arkansas, they still were one of the best teams in the nation when it was all said and done under head coach John Calipari. And I think last year, before I get into this year, was vitally important for Arkansas and John Calipari as a whole. Because before that, John Calipari had come from Kentucky, and his last few years at Kentucky had been ridden with, disappointing losses. Year after year, Kentucky would stack up just elite rosters, elite teams, and they looked great in the regular season all the way through the SEC tournament, but when they got to March Madness, it all crumbled down. John Calipari, a historically great coach, Hall of Famer, 6 Final Fours, 1 national championship, and he's historically been great in March. But the last 4 to 5 years at Kentucky, that was not the case. They got knocked off by teams like Oakland, St. Peter's, and many more. This wasn't meeting the standard at Kentucky. So Cal says he's tired of it. He's tired of the fans getting on him. He's tired of these finishes, and he thinks he needs a fresh start. He leaves Kentucky. He makes the trip to Fayetteville, Arkansas to try to rid these past demons. And like I said earlier, it didn't start well, guys. At Arkansas, in his first year there, he had a completely new team. Everybody was new except for one guy, Trevin Brazil. And it was a very, very battle-tested team, to say the least. Early in the season, they just kept losing and losing and losing, but eventually they turned it around. They had guys like Adu Thiero, Boogie Flan, Billy Richmond, DJ Wagner, and Karter Knox, who were guys that just came up clutch in March. Now, I'm not here to talk about last year's team. I'm here to talk about this year's team. The number 21 ranked Arkansas Razorbacks, a team that has looked elite at times, but also looked incompetent at times. Arkansas has been one of the most impressive teams in college basketball, but also one of the most disappointing. Breaking down their resume, breaking down their roster, breaking down everything about Arkansas, you would think they are a pretty good team, and they are. It does seem like that, right? Number 4 in the SEC, tied with some teams there. Led by star freshmen Malik Thomas and Darius Acuff, along with other supporting casts like Trevin Rizal and Malik Ewan, and other top-tier names like DJ Wagner and Karter Knox. Now, these are 2 guys, DJ Wagner and Karter Knox, that I'm going to talk a good bit about. Arkansas has been good this season, guys. Really good at times, really bad at times, and I would say they are a good team right now. But there is potential on the table to be an elite team, to be a team that can win a national championship. And in Arkansas's last game at Vanderbilt, we saw that national championship caliber team step up. They pummeled Vandy. They scored 90 plus points and won by almost 30, and it was just never in doubt. This was at home, though. Arkansas this year has been beastly at home. They're 11-0 at home at Bud Walton Arena, but on the road and at neutral sites, it's been a different story. They've picked up a couple good road wins, one great neutral site win, but other than that, it's been rough sledding for Arkansas, especially in conference play where they went to Auburn, a team that is, alright, and got absolutely pummeled, and they did a similar thing in Georgia, although they did muster up a semi-comeback last Saturday. So you could sit here and tell me, well, Arkansas's not going to have to play road games in March Madness, so if they can just continue to play like they do at home, then they'll be fine. Well, sure, but it's much deeper than that, because I think Arkansas will figure out that road, atmosphere losing thing eventually, but it's deeper than that. It goes to the statistics, and in college basketball, we love statistics because they give us what we need to talk about and how teams can stack up to past teams, to similar teams, and in college basketball, we have some of the most in-depth statistics out of any sport. So let's break it down, what it takes to be a national championship team. Well, historically, in the past, 20-something years, a national championship team has had a top 20 KenPom rating on offense and a top 20 KenPom rating on defense. Now, if you don't know what a KenPom rating is, it basically takes offensive efficiency, all the aspects of offensive play into one, and puts them together. It's a way of putting metrics into a formula, and then spewing out who's the best at each thing. Arkansas right now, in most metrics, has a top 5 offensive efficiency rating. That is elite. That's good enough to get the job done. Now, while they have been a little, inconsistent on offense, for the most part, they've been elite. Darius Acuff, Malik Thomas averaging double figures, and at one point, Darius Acuff had like 4 20-point games in a row. The guy's elite. But the defense, almost unanimously, are in the 40s of teams. That's not going to get it done. While we can sit here and talk about why Arkansas's defense is struggling, how it's struggling, and if it can even get better, I'm here to tell you that it can, and I think it will. Coach Calipari messes with lineups a lot, and he hasn't done it quite as much this year, but he did it against Vanderbilt. He changed the starting lineup, put some new faces in, and it seemed to work. We can look, though, when certain players are on the floor and when certain players are off, this Arkansas team is a different team. So if we can trust Calipari to get his lineups in order, to get his team in order, and to actually put out the best lineups at the best time, that's easier said than done, then I think Arkansas can get the defensive problem figured out. And back to the two guys I was talking about, Karter Knox and DJ Wagner. Now, these are two guys that were crucial in last year's Arkansas run in the tournament. And these are two guys that are going to have to be crucial again coming late in the season. Now, they've been quiet at starting this season. They've been playing better recently, especially DJ Wagner. He's gotten himself going on offense, taking a more of a shooting guard position and switching between point guard with Darius Acuff. And, that takes some getting used to, changing roles each season. And I'm a big DJ Wagner supporter. I think he will be great in the NBA when he does go there. It's been an unconventional path for him, obviously, but he's been a great player for Arkansas. Now, I still want him to take a next level leap this year if Arkansas is really going to be this national championship team that I'm saying they can be. But the real missing piece for Arkansas is Karter Knox. Now, this is a guy who was predicted to be one of the best players in college basketball coming into this year. He was on the SEC Player of the Year preseason watch list, National Player of the Year watch list. He was one of the guys that people had circled as this was a massive year of growth for Karter Knox. And he's been good at times. He was great in the Vanderbilt game, but we haven't seen the Karter Knox that we got to know and love at the end of last year. And we've heard from Cal, he's been struggling with injuries at some points, but it seems more mental. It seems that Karter Knox is trying to be the guy. But when you're on a team like Arkansas with so much elite talent to go around, it's not about being the guy that Arkansas relies on. It's about playing your game and letting it come to you. And Coach Calipari has talked about this many times, including after the Vanderbilt game. Karter Knox is a defense-first guy, in my opinion. A defensive-first rebounding steal guy who is great in transition. Now, is he a great offensive player? Yes. But for him, it starts with defense. Like so many players, once you get that steal or once you get that stop on defense, it loosens you up and you're good to go on offense. Now, Karter Knox, I feel like, has been focusing too much on how he's going to perform, how many points he's going to drop, how he's going to stack up to boost his draft stock, to boost this team to the next level, and I feel like it's been a little bit mental for Karter Knox. Now, I'm not going to say that he's a bad player because he's been great for Arkansas this year at times, but I would like to see him take the next step to be elite, because he is a guy that Arkansas is going to need down the stretch if they are going to make an insane run in March Madness, because Karter Knox has the potential to be one of the best players in college basketball, if not the best. The way the guy's built, he's a big dude. He's athletic, he's super fast, he can get to the rim, and he can dunk on you like nobody's watching. He can shoot threes, but it all starts with defense for Karter Knox, and I'd like to see Coach Calipari giving him better rotations, better guys around him, and I think the rotations is a big part of it for Arkansas guys. Nick Pringle, although he has had points this year where he's been good, he really hasn't done it for Arkansas, and Coach Calipari, you've seen that he's changed the lineup a little bit and cut down on the minutes time. But I think a more glaring issue for Arkansas in the front court is Malik Ewan and Nick Pringle together, because we have yet to see them both have great games together. They've both had great games single performances. They both looked great, but together, neither of them have had elite performances. So it's forced Arkansas to play small ball. And while that's been good, because Arkansas in small ball, if they can get it to that type of game, has been almost unstoppable, you would like to see them use the front court a little bit more. Now, guys like Trevor Brazil can play it all. He is a big guy. He can play the post, but he's more of a guy who's just athletically gifted while being big. He can stretch it out. He can drive on you. He can get those slam dunks. But defensively, especially, Malik Ewan and Nick Pringle are your guys. And to be quite honest, neither of them have meshed completely together in a single game. You haven't really seen too many rotations with both of them in the game, because they just simply, when one's on, it feels like the other's off, and when the other one's on, the other one's off. So I think those two pieces, especially Karter Knox getting going and Malik Ewan and Nick Pringle playing together on a consistent basis, playing well together on a consistent basis, are huge for Arkansas. But one last piece that I think is going to be an X factor for the Hogs, that is Trevin Brazil and Billy Richmond. Now, two separate players, and I'm going to talk about them each individually. Trevin Brazil is a guy who has always been mental, right? He is a freak athlete. I mean, he's one of those guys you look at and you're just like, wow, that is a gifted man, because he has that Michael Jordan, LeBron James type build where he's tall, he's big, he's athletic, but he's also super fast, has the handles of a guard, but can drive on you like a big, gets over your head, dunks on you, windmills on you, can shoot threes, lights out. He's a guy who can simply do it all. He gets elite blocks as well, plays good defense, gets steals. But for him, it's consistency. It always has been. Ever since his time at Mizzou, in the Eric Musselman era at Arkansas, and in the Coach Calipari era at Arkansas, it's been the same way. He's either on, and he's really on, or he's off, and he's really off. And this year, he's gotten a lot better at consistency. Let's not get this wrong. He's been one of Arkansas's best players throughout the season, but coming into conference play, he's just kind of hit a skid to where, and Coach Calipari's even said it, like, it just wasn't my game. And he's like, what do you mean it's just not your game? You still got to give out max effort. And that's kind of the thing with Trevor Brazil. And it sounds cliche, and it sounds like something, your middle school teacher would tell you in basketball, but it's true for Trevor Brazil. So if you can get him playing consistently, and then another guy, Billy Richmond, who's been the X factor for Arkansas all year, ever since last year. He's not a guy who's going to put up elite points performances, but he's a guy like where the plus minus with him on the floor is elite, because he's just a spark plug. He's a guy who puts maximum effort in, who is the best defender on Arkansas by far. He's a guy who can take your best player, lock him down, take him out of the game. That is huge. That is a guy that you need on a tournament team. You see it, and you can look at any of these national championship runs and point out that exact guy. That is Billy Richmond for Arkansas. He's been consistent. He's been great all year. And the problem with him is he makes some silly mistakes because he's going 100 miles per hour. He turns it over a little too much. But those are things that I think Billy Richmond could get better at. In that Georgia game especially, Arkansas lost it on the road, but it was going to be a lot worse if Billy Richmond didn't get in there. He was a spark plug for Arkansas. He just started taking over because it seemed like no one else wanted to play. Arkansas gets back into it, and it ends up being a great game. Georgia still comes out with a win. But those are the type of performances that you need to see from Billy Richmond for Arkansas to be elite. Now I've touched on about every part that I want to touch on, right? Malik Ewan, Nick Pringle, they need to play better consistently. Karter Knox and DJ Wagner need to be the guys that you lean on offensively and need to take that next step. And then Trevor Brazil and Billy Richmond, those are guys that need to be your impact players, your spark players, and the guys you just kind of lean on in big moments. But it obviously all comes back to Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas, because these are the two guys that are elite. They're two of the best players in the country, and if they're not on, they've been pretty consistent all year, then your team's not going to be on. It all comes back to Arkansas's defense at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, it seems like offensively, no matter who they're playing, they can get it going. Even against Houston, they put up a great offensive performance, especially in the second half. Quad 1 record is 4-5. That's pretty good. We've seen them play in some close games, and I think the very telling game at the beginning of the season against Michigan State, they were in that game the whole way through at Michigan State. Duke, they almost won that one on Thanksgiving. It was a fantastic game. Cameron Boozer ended up getting the best of them. And then that Tech game in Dallas, and now we see what Tech's doing now. It was a high pace, very fast, very fun offensive matchup against a very, very good Texas Tech team. Arkansas pulls that one out. That's the type of performance Arkansas is going to have in March, because they've looked good against teams that are smaller. They've struggled against teams that are better defensively and bigger. Texas Tech was kind of both of those, and they really thrived on a neutral site. That's what it's going to be in March. So if you can replicate that Texas Tech game, I think you can be in good shape if you're Arkansas. Look, at the end of the day, all of this is kind of just speculation. All of this is what I think, and I don't know as much as Coach Cal. I trust him to get his guys ready. They're ranked 20th in the net. They're projected 5 seed right now, but there's still a lot of season left. The one thing about Coach Calipari teams is that it seems like they always get better towards the end of the year. They find out their rotations, they stick with. The one gripe I have with Calipari right now as far as roster goes is that it just feels like you don't have enough guys. And when games start getting out of hand, you don't have guys to just pour in there to be a spark plug. And it feels like Billy Richmond's your only guy who can do that. But other than that, Arkansas has been a team that is kind of your dark horse, right? And at times when they're playing their best basketball, anybody in the country, they can beat. Anybody. Absolutely anybody. But it's consistency that's the key for Coach Calipari and the squad, and it's going to be all year. Thank you for watching. This is Random SEC. Please subscribe, like, and comment, and follow us on all socials, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook, all at the Random SEC. Thank you.